Okay, so I am so excited to share with you about this activity that I have used personally. I've used with students on an individual basis, and just yesterday I did it with all of my classes in a group basis. And it stemmed from a year ago. I was following Danika, Brysha, and she does like a self-care checklist sort of thing in morning and night. And a component of that is writing your biography, which I guess would kind of be like an autobiography anyhow, but writing about the person that you've been and really seeking to think about it in that context so that you can envision the person that you want to be in the mindset that every day you're taking a step to become that person. And I honestly really struggled with it, some days more than not, but as what to include, how big to think, and so on and so forth. Fast forward several months to the summer, and I was doing reading of Rachel Hollis's Girl Wash Your Face, and she began talking about her journaling practice that she does in the morning. And I feel like this was even before she released her Start Today journal or started even talking about that. But both resources I encourage you to check out if this is kind of in your wheelhouse. One of the things that she wrote down in her journal, and that if you have her Start Today journal, is that you write down 10 goals as if you've already achieved them. And one example that Rachel Hollis gives is that she only flies first class. And so she tells this really great story about how she would write, I only fly first class, I only fly first class. And now eventually she only flies first class, and how that came to be. And it wasn't just like she manifested it and it just came to her. There was hard work and such to get to that point. But that was her thing of writing 10 goals. So I began to add that practice into just my regular journal, like my plain blank journal that I write in every day. And again, I kind of struggled with how to really think that big and to say, I'm going to do this. It was a very rough mental block for me to kind of get there. So I did find it was really easy when I thought of all of the things that I wanted to be. And so one day in my journal, I was just writing, well, I'm struggling with this, but I'm just gonna write, I wanna do this, and I wanna be this, and I wanna do that, and da-da-da. And my I want to's were so long. And so it kind of flipped in my head. I thought, well, gosh, if I want to do all of this stuff, who's to say that I have not done all of this stuff? And so I began to personally write down, I wanna do X, Y, and Z. And then I would manifest it, or not manifest it, I would translate it, sorry. I would translate it from the I want to column to the I am column. And the power felt very similar to what Rachel had been talking about, because we're on a first name basis, and Danika, because we're also on a first name basis, had been talking about in their thing. And again, it just really boils down to that mindset of if you think that you are the person that has already done it, you become that person. But sometimes when we put these helping verbs or like future tense verbs into things that we hope to accomplish, we have these mental roadblocks. So truth be told, I experimented on this on 3 students before I actually did this in a class, and it really just kind of came to me at random times throughout last semester. I would have a student come to me very upset about something and just really filled with self-doubt. And I had them do this activity just to see kind of like how it would work, and in an attempt to fill them with confidence. And it worked. It was really, really cool to see this on a personal basis and to see how it really impacted their life. So, or not even, I'm not saying it impacted their life, but if anything, it affected their mood for that day. And I knew for myself that I kind of do this on a daily basis or several times a week basis, especially if I'm struggling with writing my goals as if they've already happened. This is a good catalyst for me to be able to do that. And I thought, you know, new school year, first day back, kids are a lot of times apprehensive about being back in school, even if they're happy to be back, because for so many of them it is their happy place. There's still just all this like about being the new year, new you, what are you gonna do differently, and all this kind of stuff. So I wanted my choir kids to start off the year empowered. So I had them come in and I gave them all a sheet of paper, and I had white sheet of paper, but I'm out of white sheet of paper, so I have this blue sheet for you. And this is the process that I told them to do, and I'm gonna like walk you through it as if you were a student of mine, and then you can kind of take the same script and do it yourself. So grab a sheet of blank paper and you're gonna fold it hamburger style. Remember, hamburger, now if you have kids that struggle and they fold it hot dog style, it's not a complete loss, or maybe you like hot dog style better, whatever, it is what it is. So this is your hamburger style, all right? And then once they've folded their paper, I'm gonna say, so you folded your white paper, the announcements are going off because it's at the end of school. Well, school's been over for a while, but anyhow. So you have your sheet of paper, ask them to fold it, and have a writing utensil, and then I just say, all right, now put it down. Close your eyes. And I want you to envision your future self. Depending on the grade, sometimes I use like 7 to 10 years. I want you to be, you know, you're in your early 20s, or for you, you are, you know, in 10 years from now. And I want you to think about, what do you look like? What do you feel like? What emotions do you have as this person? Maybe you have a particular job in mind, or work in particular that you want to be doing. Maybe you're thinking about what your finances are like, or where you're living, how you're living. Really think about that. Envision, close your eyes. And with my students, I'll usually wait a little bit longer. It's very interesting to see their faces. If you were doing this, which I hope you are doing this right now, feel free to pause this and take a little bit extra time to really, really envision your ideal self 10 years. It's really hard for me to wait in a large classroom because I want to rush. I don't want any time to be wasted, but I have to remember that even the people that look like they're done thinking about stuff are often sometimes still ruminating, still thinking about something. So I usually try to wait an awkward amount of time. So once I begin to see there's some like movement happening and that sort of thing within the class, like maybe their eyes begin opening, sometimes their eyes are still shut, whatever, I wouldn't wait, you know, more than 5 minutes perhaps. I then have them take their sheet of paper and hold it like they're holding a card, so the foldy section is like there, and then I have them flip it. So the folded section is on the left side, is like on their left side. So right now the folded section is on your right side. So it should be like this. So if you were to open it, it opens like this. So the folded section is here. And then I have them right on the top. That doesn't work. I want to be just like that. I want to be. And then I say, you have 5 minutes to write down everything that you want to be. Think big. Everything that you just envisioned of yourself that you want to be in 10 years, to write that down. And the key is that every time you write something down, you write, I want to be blah, blah, blah. And you know, fill in. I use a personal reference, like I want to be a choir director. I want to be, I'll be honest with them, I usually, like, I want to be debt-free. That's one of my things right now, and so I will even say that. And if you feel comfortable sharing something with your students like that too, I think it's really cool. Everything that you want to be, even down to, I want to be an exceptional teacher. I want to be an ever-present friend, so on and so forth. So I give them 5 minutes and write down all the things that you want to be, or I want to be. So go and do that now. If you haven't done that yet, and you're doing this, like, pause this because I'm going to go on to the next part. I'm not going to wait. All right, so now once all the I want tos have done, then I forewarn the students. I say, I want to invite you, this next part is going to feel really weird, potentially. So be ready to take note of that, and like the fact that it is going to feel weird and might feel awkward, and what you're about to write, you might be like, this isn't true. That's okay. Again, this is a process here, but you really want to, before you explain this next part, you really want to advise them that they are going to feel different reactions, and that's okay, and you just need to take note of what those reactions are going to be. So then once you've explained that, then have them open up their sheet of paper. And on the right side, so before they've written that on the left side, on the right side, they're going to write, I am. And you're going to then say, what you're going to do is you are going to transfer all of your I want to be's to I am. So I am a choir director, even though I already am, but so I am debt-free. I am an exceptional teacher. I like the word exceptional. I stole that because that's a word that the Hollises use in theirs. But anyhow, so, and I have them write I am. And you will see their faces be like, you know, several times I had kids raise their, but I haven't already done this yet, but this isn't true. And I go, exactly, it's part of the process. And so then I have them all translate the I ams. And then once they're all done, I ask them, what did you notice about how you felt as you transitioned through writing your I am statement from your I want to be I want to be statements, and what feelings did this bring about? And then just begin to kind of talk them through this process. And depending on how willing your class is to talk about this stuff will potentially determine how open they are to discussing it. I've done it with an all men's class, an all women's class, and a mixed class. And the gender divided classes, of course, were the most open about things. Some of the things the students told me they felt weird when writing it. The I am statements brought happiness, but then for some of them, they were overwhelmed. For some students, when they were writing the I am statements, some of them felt encouraged. Some of them said like they felt like they were lying to themselves, or they felt like you haven't accomplished it yet. Some felt determined. Some felt they doubted themselves from it. Someone said it helps you think with your heart over your head. Someone said things they've already accomplished, but maybe they hadn't realized they'd already accomplished things. Some said it helped them get steps on how to get there. It helped them begin to think of even more things they want to do. And so I'm just looking through all my notes that I took when I did this with the kids of different responses that they had. And sometimes when a kid would say, it made me feel really discouraged, I would say, who else felt like that? And hands would go up. And someone who felt encouraged, you know, and I also did a whole group thing, like who was anxious in writing the I am statements? People would raise their hand. Who was encouraged through writing the I am statements? People would raise their hand. I said, who was both? And a lot of people would raise their hand. And I like to do it that way because then I never told anyone, like, share what you wrote. But through that process, a lot of the students shared. When I wrote I am they were just like, and they told us what they wrote their I ams for. So it just was really crazy and insane, empowering to hear what they were saying. You know, a common one with the girls was I am a mom, and a common one with the boys was either like I am a dad or I am a husband. And, you know, they're like, but I'm not this already. And I said, yeah, but, you know, it can help you think about the choices that you make to become a good mom. You know, if you want to become a good mom, well, maybe you're going to think about who your mate is going to be. If you want to be an exception, if you want to be, if you want to be a father, you're going to think about who you're dating. Or if you want to be a husband or a father, but if you want to be a husband, you're going to think about who you're dating. And I said, I'm not saying you need to go out now in high school and like be thinking about who you're dating. I think that that's a family choice, a personal choice as when to date, how to date, when, etc. and all that. But again, just getting kids in this mindset of like, you are all of these things, because they have such a running dialogue of self-doubt more than ever. And honestly, we as adults have that. So it's just been a real, like, I think I'm going to do it again. Same thing, like not even have them start with I ams, but have them start with the I want to be's, because again, I've been doing it this way for several months now, and it's still really powerful for me. Or when I feel really stuck and I feel really lost, I will sometimes begin to write like, I want to be this, I want to be that. And then I personally transfer them over for myself. And it's a good reminder of either where I already am, what I've been through to get to where I am, and where I want to be. And it just like realigns my vision. And there's research that talks about the power of saying that you've already done something. I like to give the kids the reference, how many times have you said, oh, I'm going to go home and do my homework first and then watch TV, or then get on the computer, or then get on Instagram, or then play video games. And I say, and then you go home, and did you do that? No, you didn't do your homework first. You did all that other stuff. So I said, just play with the mindset. Just play with the mindset of going home and say like, when I go home, I do my homework. When I go home, I do my homework, and begin through that process. Again, it's very process-based learning over product-based learning. So I hope that makes sense. I might do another one where I'd probably talk a little bit more succinctly. It's Friday, I'm tired, but I just wanted to get this out. If you do this project with your kids, please let me know. I'd love to know what they say. And this is another testament. One of my students raised her hand today. We do daily gratitudes at the end of class, and her daily gratitude was that she went home and did this, and she did it with her 6 siblings. She did this activity with her 6 siblings, and said it was, and you could just see the light in her eyes and how cool and powerful it was. I also think it's really important in especially trouble groups, or groups that you have predominantly females, because a pervading theme in our discussion was that at times you felt boastful to say, I am this, I am that, I am da da da. When we as women seem to diminish ourselves for fear of being too proud, or someone looking at us and saying, oh, they're full of themselves, or something like that. So we make ourselves less than, and how messed up that is. And we even compare, like, would you think a guy would say, oh, I'm not pretty, you're just saying that? No, a guy is going to be like, yeah, I know I look good. But girls think that if they respond that way, that they look like or something like that. So it's just really great conversations, discussions. I could talk on and on about it, and maybe if I was more organized, like I have it more delineated. But yeah, that's it, and it's really, really cool. It's really powerful, and if anything else, you should just try it personally first and go from there.